Hey guys, welcome back. So a lot of you seem to really like the pilot one from last time, the guy whose last words were, "It's not an aircraft." So today we're doing 5 of those, 5 final transmissions. The last thing somebody said over the radio before they disappeared and were never seen again, and some of these words are still sitting in the record books completely unexplained. Like nobody on Earth knows what one of these guys even meant. Same deal as always. Short version of each, and if one grabs you, drop a comment and I'll turn it into its own video. Counting down from 5. Let's get into it. Number 5. 5 Navy bombers took off on a routine training flight. 2 hours later, the lead pilot got on the radio and said his compass was dead. Then his backup compass, then everybody else's. December 1945, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. 5 torpedo bombers, 14 guys total, going out on a 3-hour practice run. Easy day. Then 2 hours in, the flight leader radios that his compass has failed and his backup. And then the other planes start saying the same thing. So now you've got 5 aircraft over the Atlantic and not one of them knows which way is home. And you can hear it fall apart on the radio for hours. They argue about which direction to fly. The sun goes down, the weather turns. And the very last thing anybody heard from them was the leader saying, and I'm quoting, "All planes close up tight. We'll have to ditch unless landfall. When the first plane drops below 10 gallons, we all go down together." And then nothing. So they send out a huge search. And here's the part that makes this thing legendary. One of the search planes, a big Mariner with 13 men on it, took off to go find them. And that one vanished too. 27 men, 6 aircraft, 1 night. And they never found a confirmed piece of any of it. This is the case that basically invented the Bermuda Triangle. Number 4. She was minutes from landing on a tiny island, and she radioed the ship waiting for her. "We are on you but cannot see you." July 1937. Amelia Earhart, most famous pilot on the planet, is trying to fly around the world. Her and her navigator, Fred Noonan, have one job left that day: find Howland Island. And Howland is basically nothing. It's a dot. 2 kilometers of sand in the middle of the Pacific. There's a Coast Guard ship parked there, the Itasca, waiting to help her land and refuel. And the radio situation is a nightmare. They can hear her. She can barely hear them. So she's out there burning fuel. And she gets on the radio and says, "We are on you, but cannot see you." She's basically right there, and she can't find it. Then her final message at 8:43 in the morning: "We're on the line 157-337, running north and south." Those numbers are compass bearings. She was flying a line back and forth, hoping to just bump into the island. And that's the last anybody ever heard from Amelia Earhart. They launched the biggest naval search in American history to that point. Almost 90 years later, people are still out there looking. Number 3, this plane's final message ended with a word that nobody has ever been able to explain. And when the guy on the ground asked them to repeat it, they sent the exact same word back, twice. August 1947. A British airliner called Stardust is flying from Argentina over the Andes to Chile, 11 people on board. 4 minutes before they're supposed to land, they send a Morse code message. ETA Santiago, 1745 hours. STENDEC. And the operator in Santiago goes, "What?" He doesn't know that word. Nobody knows that word. So he asks them to say it again. And they send it again, STENDEC. He asks one more time. STENDEC. Exactly the same, all 3 times. And then the plane was just gone. And here's the thing. They didn't find it. Not for 51 years. Then, in 1998, 2 climbers up on a glacier at 15,000 feet find a chunk of engine on the ice with letters stamped on it. Rolls-Royce. Stardust had flown straight into the side of a glacier at full speed, probably thinking they'd already cleared the mountains, and the crash set off an avalanche that buried the whole thing in ice for half a century. So we solved the crash. Cool. But we never solved the word. People have guessed it's an anagram of descent or garble Morse from a guy running out of oxygen. Nobody actually knows. It's the only word in aviation history that just means nothing. Number 2, a fighter jet was sent up to chase something over Lake Superior. Ground radar watched the jet and the object turn into one single blip, and then that blip disappeared. November 1953. Something unidentified shows up in restricted airspace over Lake Superior. So the Air Force scrambles a jet out of Kinross Air Force Base with 2 guys on board, pilot Felix Moncla and his radar man Robert Wilson. Ground control is guiding them in. They're doing about 500 miles an hour, closing on this thing, and then the guy watching the radar screen sees something he did not expect. The 2 blip, the jet and the object, merge. They become one blip. And then that one blip fades off the screen. Radio contact just stops. They search the lake, they search the land, no wreckage, no debris, no bodies, nothing at all. And the official Air Force explanation is that the object was just a Canadian transport plane, except Canada has repeatedly said no such thing happened and no aircraft of theirs was involved. So the actual answer is still whatever you want it to be. But 2 men flew up to look at something over a lake, and neither they nor their jet ever came back down. Number 1, the most searched for aircraft in human history, 239 people, and the last words were completely, weirdly normal. March 8th, 2014. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a Boeing 777, leaves Kuala Lumpur heading for Beijing. Everything is routine. At 1:19 in the morning, they're handing off from Malaysian air traffic control to Vietnamese airspace, and the cockpit says, "Good night, Malaysian 370. That's it. That's the last thing anyone ever heard, and it's so normal that it's almost worse. Minutes later, the transponder goes off, and then the plane does something nobody can explain. It turns around. It flies back across the country it just left. And then it keeps going for hours, and we only know that because of automated satellite pings, these little handshakes the plane was making with the satellite without anyone talking. Those pings put it somewhere in the southern Indian Ocean. Quick, honest note. The officials first said the last words were, "All right, good night." Then, a few weeks later, changed it to, "Good night, Malaysian 370. And never really explained why the story changed, which did not help anybody trust the investigation. Pieces of the plane have washed up on beaches. A wing part was confirmed as hers. But the actual wreckage, the recorders, the answer? 12 years in the most expensive search in aviation history. And we still don't have it. 239 people said goodnight, and then the plane turned, and nobody knows why. So that's 5. 14 guys with dead compasses. Amelia, right on top of the island she couldn't see. A word that means nothing, sent 3 times. 2 men in a jet that merged with something on a radar screen. And a good night from a plane that turned around. Which one gets you the most? Drop the number in the comments. And if you want the full deep dive on any of these, tell me which. I'm Sketch. I'll see you in the next file.